Sigma is at it again with another lens release. They are on a roll and it seems like it's one home run after another these days. This is the all-new 200mm f2.DGOS, a unique fast telephoto lens that you might be thinking it's the tail end of a 70 to 200mm, what's the big deal? Well, it's this little number right here, f2. This prime lets in twice the amount of light that the 70 to 200mm does at f2.8, and twice is a lot. So in this video, we are checking it out. A lens like this requires a lot of large glass elements, and big pieces of glass are heavy. Yet somehow Sigma managed to make this lens pretty light, just under 4 pounds. For reference, Canon has a 200mm f2 lens, and that one is 1.5 pounds heavier. Construction is solid. It's a mixture of metal and premium plastics, even some rubberized plastics at the front. It's a beautifully built lens. It doesn't get much better than this in the build department. Starting at the rear, there is a metal mount, electronics, and a weather sealing gasket. This lens is dust and splash resistant throughout, so you can take it anywhere and not worry about it. 025 indicates a 2025 release, 1.7 meter minimum focus, and made in Japan. There is an Arca Swiss compatible lens support bracket attached here that is also made in Japan, and it can be rotated with clicks at every 45 degrees. It even has 2 little slots in it if you want to connect it to a strap to hold your setup. This is one of those situations where you hold your camera by the lens, not the other way around. 200mm 1:2 on top, 105mm front filter thread, Sigma logo, and there is an aperture lock that locks you into or out of auto aperture. 5 more switches on this side. It's like piloting an aircraft. Autofocus manual focus switch, focus limiter switch, OS or optical stabilization mode switch. Yes, this lens has built-in stabilization that does 6.5 stops worth of it. Custom button switch, and then the click on and off for the aperture ring. The aperture ring is solid, typical high-end Sigma. The clicks are nice, it's smooth, it's well done. In front of it is the manual focus ring, which has a great rubberized texture, all electronic, rotating forever in either direction. A little S logo here for the sports line, and 3 custom buttons on the very front. Around the front, the element is huge. It's very clean with no writing here, and I am a fan of the rubberized texture around the edge. I think this will prevent a lot of damage if you accidentally hit something or someone with this lens. It also comes with a substantial lens hood that is very well made, also rubberized on the edge, and it screws down to lock into place. I can only imagine if you lose this, you'll probably have to pay several $100s to replace it. Inside, there are 19 elements in 14 groups, an 11 bladed diaphragm, and autofocus is done by Sigma's HLA or high response linear actuator motor. So it's their best and fastest, but due to Sony's deliberate software limitations, this lens will not be allowed to shoot 120 frames per second in the newest flagship. It's limited to only 15 frames per second. This, however, doesn't affect me because my humble A7C first generation can only do 10 frames per second, so in a way, I win. Anyway, let's take a look at some photos. All of these are JPEGs straight out of my A7C, unedited. The only thing I did is I ran the portraits through Rebloom, which is an AI-powered retouching tool that takes about 2 seconds per photo and is fully automated, but that doesn't affect sharpness or colors. It just removes temporary blemishes. I wish they had this sort of tech for videos. Anyway, ready, set, go. I've never handled a lens like this. I've shot with a 70 to 200mm and it's good at 200mm, but this is a little bit more special. The subject separation and the compression that you get with this lens is unlike anything else that I've shot with before, and optically, it's an absolutely brilliant lens. The colors and contrast levels are nice and punchy, sharpness is exceptional wide open, even in the corners. The bokeh that you get with this lens is 10 out of 10 good. It's so smooth, no issues with outlining. Some cat-eyeing into the corners, but what an absolute genius lens for portrait work. This is one of those lenses that can make any environment look good for a portrait. Granted, you do have to be maybe 30 feet away from your subject to fit them into your frame. I'm not going to complain about distortion. There's really nothing to complain about. Chromatic aberration suppression is excellent. There's a tiny bit of Loka on out of focus high contrast areas, barely noticeable vignetting, and maybe a slight pin cushion, but nothing that is noticeable in any real world photograph. Flare control is excellent. This has a lot to do with the deep lens hood, I'm sure. It is a stellar performance. Autofocus performance is as good as any native Sony lens that I've tested. It's fast, it's silent, it's accurate, and tracking works perfectly. Even down to focus breathing, this lens has very little of that, and my A7C doesn't have any focus breathing compensation, so this is the lens doing all of the work. And I have to talk about the stabilization because this is another major selling point of this lens. This is a handheld shot with stabilization off, and here it is with stabilization on. It's truly incredible how good it is, and frankly, it just makes me a little bit upset. Why don't we have something like this for APS-C? I don't think there is a stabilized telephoto prime for Sony APS-C, but let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong. Okay, that is enough of a tangent. Now, I understand that this is a premium lens. I get that it's pricey. I also understand that for most people, the 70 to 200 millimeter will do about 90% of what this lens does and then give you the flexibility of letting you zoom out. However, for the right person, for someone who loves shooting incredible portraits that you can't get from another focal length, someone who loves shooting fast action indoor sports where lighting is poor, or someone who just wants the most subject separation possible, this Sigma 200mm is an engineering masterpiece. It's almost a shame because I don't think that this lens will sell that many copies. I mean, how many people are out there looking for a 200mm f2 lens? I think it's a tough pill to swallow, even though it is a competitively priced lens. This thing comes in at $3,300 US. The Canon equivalent, as an example, is a $6,000 lens brand new. Fuji has one that's $5,500 brand new, so this is relatively affordable compared to those. I think that this release really says more about Sigma than anything else. They didn't need to make it. I can't imagine the amount of time and the money that they spent developing it, but I think that they did it just to prove to the world that they could, to prove that they are the creme de la creme of lens manufacturers. It's really a showpiece of what they can do. And for the few people out there that get to try it or buy it, it gives them a special experience. I'm clearly not the target audience for this lens, but I do appreciate what it is and what it does and how it renders images. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.